She humiliated me in front of her family when I proposed, so I destroyed her relationship. My name is Dylan Collins. I'm 33 years old. I've been working as a mechanic for over a decade now. I own my own shop in Columbus, Ohio. We handle everything from basic oil changes to full restorations. Nothing fancy, just honest work. My ex-girlfriend, Christina Price, 31 years old, was a senior account manager at a commercial real estate firm. She always looked flawless, like she was about to close $1 million deal every single day. We were together for 3.5 years, and during that entire time, she never stopped dropping hints about marriage. Showing me rings on Instagram, talking about wedding venues, going over details with her friends. So after saving for 6 months, I decided to make it happen. I bought a 1-carat white gold engagement ring from a real jewelry store, not some mall kiosk. It cost me $4,800. It was beautiful. I had everything planned. I was going to propose at an elegant downtown restaurant. But a few days before, her mother, Cheryl, announced she was throwing a big family dinner. Christina insisted it was important for me to make a good impression. I thought it was weird because I've been around her family plenty of times, but I didn't argue. The day of the dinner, I dressed the best I could. I bought a new suit from a formal clothing store. Spent $600 I really couldn't afford, but I wanted everything to be perfect. Christina used to make comments about how I should dress better when I was around her family. I picked her up from her apartment, the same apartment I was helping pay for, even though my name wasn't even on the lease. She looked me up and down, wrinkled her nose, asked if the suit was new. I nodded, reminded her that she was the one who told me I needed to improve my appearance. All she said was, "We should go. I don't want to be late." 30 minutes later, we arrived at her parents' house in Upper Arlington. Massive colonial home. Lawn so perfectly cut, it looked like it was trimmed with scissors. Her father, Walter, was an executive at a logistics company. Her mother ran charity activities like she was running a corporation. They'd always been polite to me, but I could feel them evaluating me every single time. The dinner had all the trappings of an elegant occasion. Pristine tablecloths, multiple pieces of silverware per person, dishes served in stages. Her brother-in-law, Caleb, who's a cardiologist, talked enthusiastically about his new boat. Her sister Lindsay showed off photos from their vacation in the Bahamas. Cullen, her younger brother, 26 years old and still living at home, finding himself, talked about his investments. Me, I stayed quiet, minded my manners, used a right fork, smiled when appropriate. I felt the ring box like a burning weight in my jacket pocket. My plan was to kneel after dessert. When they served dessert, Cheryl started asking about our future plans. This was my chance. I felt my legs shaking as I stood up, pulled the little box out of my pocket. Christina's eyes went wide with surprise. Her mother put her hands over her mouth and knelt in front of her. Opened the box. The diamonds sparkled under the light. I spoke from the heart. I told her these 3.5 years had been wonderful, that I admired her intelligence and beauty. I wanted to spend the rest of my life by her side. I asked her to marry me. The silence that followed was unbearable. Christina stared at the ring. Her expression shifted from surprise to confusion and then to pure contempt. "Are you serious?" she said in a tone that froze the entire room. "Yes," I answered nervously. "I love you. Will you marry me?" And she pointed at the ring like I'd just handed her something repulsive. "What is this?" "It's a 1-carat ring. White gold. I bought it from a jewelry store downtown." 1 carat. She repeated it with a grimace. "Lindsay has a 3-carat ring. Madison has 2.5. And you thought this was enough?" I was still kneeling, feeling every single pair of eyes stabbing into me. "Christina, it's what I could afford," I said, my voice breaking. And that's when she exploded. "What you could afford, Dylan? You're a mechanic. You know what it's like telling people my boyfriend fixes transmissions?" Her father tried to intervene. "Christina, that's not necessary." She cut him off, screaming louder. "No, Dad. He needs to hear this. I've waited 3 years for you to get your act together, to become someone I could be proud of. And this is the best you can do. Propose to me with a tiny ring in the middle of a family dinner. This is pathetic. You are pathetic and cheap." She stepped closer, grabbed the box out of my hand, took the ring out, and threw it hard. It bounced off the wall and disappeared behind the liquor cabinet. Cheryl screamed her name in horror. But Christina wasn't done. "I'm not marrying a mechanic. I'm not spending my life worrying about money, driving used cars, and living in some little house. My friends marry doctors, lawyers, businessmen. Lindsay married a cardiologist. And you expect me to marry someone who changes oil filters?" Every word was a punch. "You have no ambition," she continued. "You settle for your little shop, your little cars. You're never going to be more than what you are right now. And I deserve better." In that moment, something inside me just clicked. I stayed quiet for a few seconds, looked her directly in the eyes, and I said, "You're absolutely right. You deserve better. And so do I." I walked over to the cabinet, got down on my knees, found the ring, put it back back in a box, slipped it into my pocket, dusted off my pants, lifted my head, and spoke calmly. Thank you for dinner, Cheryl, Walter. It was lovely. Lindsay, Caleb, good to see you. Cullen, good luck with the crypto. I turned and headed for the door. Dylan, where are you going? Christina asked in disbelief. I stopped for a second, looked at her one last time, to find someone who doesn't see me as trash. Oh, come on. You're being dramatic, she tried to say. My, I responded without raising my voice. You just threw my engagement ring at the wall. The room went silent. You know what's the most ironic thing, Christina? You did me the biggest favor in my life. You show me exactly who you are before I made a mistake. When I finished speaking, I looked directly at her parents. I said calmly, thank you for raising someone who values money more than character. Honestly, I dodged a bullet. I walked out of that house without looking back. Her voice screaming my name, fading in the distance as I got into my truck. Didn't stop once until I got to my best friend's house. Ricky barely looked at my face before he handed me a beer. Didn't say a word. Just sat down and waited for me to talk. I told him everything, beginning to end. He was quiet for a few seconds, and he burst out laughing. Let me get this straight, he said between laughs. You bought a $5,000 ring, got yourself a suit, drove to her parents' mansion, and proposed. And she still thinks you're the one with no standards? Brother, her loss. I had no idea how right he was. The next morning, I woke up on Ricky's couch with a brutal headache and over 90 missed calls. Christina had called me 34 times. Her mother, 8 times. Even her sister called twice. The messages she left were an emotional roller coaster. Started with wanting to talk like adults, and accused me of overreacting. Later tried to justify herself, saying it was an unexpected surprise. Then blamed me for abandoning her. And finally insulted me, calling me pathetic for humiliating her in front of her family. I deleted everything. Blocked her number and all her social media. Done. Ricky, who works as a contractor and has known me since high school, made me coffee and scrambled eggs like it was any normal Sunday. He's direct, loyal, doesn't beat around the bush. So what are you gonna do now? He asked. Move on with my life. Focus on the shop. Pretend she doesn't exist. He leaned back with a wicked smile. No, think bigger. She sees you as a guy with no ambition. Prove her wrong. Make her regret every word. And he was right. For years, I'd held myself back to fit into what Christina wanted me to be. My shop was doing fine, but I always kept it small. Never allowed myself to grow or take on big jobs because I felt like they didn't fit into the life she imagined for me. Ricky started drawing up a plan with me. Expand the shop, hire another mechanic, upgrade equipment, accept full restorations, document every step. He told me to open an Instagram account for the business, build a solid brand, let her see how I was thriving without her. Plus, there was something Christina didn't know. The jewelry store had a 30-day return policy. It meant those $4,800 were going straight back into my pocket. Monday morning, I showed up at the shop early. Colin's auto repair wasn't huge. 2 bays, a small office, a waiting room that needed renovation. It was mine. I bought it 3 years ago from the mechanic who trained me, and I always knew it had potential. Hunter, who I'd hired a year ago, was already working on a Civic when I arrived. He's young, 24 years old, fresh out of tech school, eager to learn. Heard you had a rough weekend, he said. Who told you? Your ex called the shop Saturday night looking for you. Told her I didn't know where you were. She called me a liar. I nodded. That was typical of her. That day, I decided to put the plan into action. Called the jewelry store. Confirmed I could return the ring. Made a list of the upgrades I'd been putting off. Advanced diagnostic equipment, paint booth, alignment machine, hydraulic frame straightening system that I also contacted my apartment landlord and asked him to change the locks. Packed Christina's stuff into boxes. Took photos of everything. Got it ready for delivery. Tuesday, she showed up at the shop. I was under a Tahoe doing transmission maintenance when Hunter came back looking uncomfortable. Your ex is here. Tell her I'm busy. Already did. She says it's important. Tell her I don't care if she's on fire. I'm busy. A few seconds later, I heard the sound of her heels hitting the concrete floor. Dylan, we need to talk, she said, raising her voice. I rolled out from under the car with a rag in my hand. No, Christina, we don't need to talk. You're acting like a child, she snapped. I stood up, looked at her firmly. No, what I'm doing is working. You're not welcome here. She tried to soften her tone. Look, you surprised me. I wasn't expecting a proposal like that. You should have talked to me about it first. That's not how proposals work, I responded, especially when you've been hinting for 3 years that you wanted to get married. She tried to justify herself, talking about standards and expectations. But I didn't care anymore. Your clothes and your stuff are packed. I'll drop them off at your place tonight. Don't call me. Don't come here. Don't look for me. You can't throw away 3 years over one bad night, she said, raising her voice. Watch me. Her face shifted from discomfort to contained rage. Fine, do what you want. Don't come crawling back when you realize what you lost. Don't worry. I won't. She stormed out. Hunter watched her get in her car and whistled. That was epic, and it was. But I knew this was just the beginning. 2 weeks after that disastrous dinner, my life looked completely different. First, I returned the ring, got the money back. Then I invested the $4,800 along with another $3,000 I had saved for the wedding. Bought professional tools, advanced diagnostic scanner, alignment machine, paint system, restocked parts inventory. The biggest change, though, was mental. I stopped thinking small, started accepting big jobs, full classic car restorations, engine rebuilds, customization, reservations, whatever came my way. Within a few weeks, the shop's reputation grew like never before. The first big project was a complete restoration of a 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle. The owner, who ran a local bar, posted photos of the result on Facebook and tagged the shop. Because of that, 3 more classic car owners showed up interested. I also did detailed paint work on a brand new Corvette for a lawyer who, fascinated with the result, recommended our services to his entire firm. I opened the Instagram account like Ricky suggested. Started posting before and after photos of every job. First week, I had 200 followers, then 500. In a month, I passed 1,000. People loved seeing the process. 3 weeks later, I hired a second mechanic. Travis, 38 years old, 15 years of experience at a dealership. Incredible mastery of European cars. Plus, he brought several loyal clients with him. With Hunter, Travis, and me working together, the shop transformed completely. Money started flowing. For real. I paid off the truck, cleared the remaining loan on the shop equipment, started saving seriously. I felt motivated, went to work excited, stayed late because I wanted to, not because I had to. I even lost 30 pounds. Pure stress weight. One Saturday morning, Ricky showed up with coffee and donuts, leaned against the porch while I worked on a classic Bronco. You look different. Are you happy? I am, I answered. Heard through the grapevine that Christina's been asking about you, he added with half a smile. And that's when I understood something. The best revenge wasn't humiliating her, or blocking her, or even returning the ring. It was becoming someone who thrived without her. For weeks I've been hearing from third parties that Christina was still checking my Instagram from time to time. Apparently, she found out the shop was going strong, growing at a pace I hadn't even imagined at first. Maybe she was curious. Maybe it was simple regret. But if it was the latter, honestly, it was way too late. That same afternoon, while I was reviewing some quotes in the office, my phone buzzed. It was a direct message on Instagram from Madison, one of Christina's close friends. It caught my attention because we'd never spoken directly. The message said, "Hi, I know things between you guys didn't end well, but I wanted to know if I can bring my husband's Audi in for a checkup. I've heard really good things about your work." I stared at the screen for a few seconds without responding immediately. I'm not gonna lie, I felt a slight knot in my stomach. Not because of her, but because of everything that indirect contact with the past represented. But at the end of the day, this was business. Responding with coldness and professionalism was the right thing to do. So I wrote, "Sure, shop hours are on the profile. You can stop by whenever." Monday morning, Madison showed up with her husband, Wesley. He was one of those guys who radiated that successful in finance vibe. Shiny watch, pressed suit, impeccable black Audi A7 that looked fresh off the showroom floor. They wanted a full service. What was interesting was their reaction when they walked in. Both of them stood still, scanning every corner of the shop with a mix of surprise and curiosity. "Christina always said this was like an improvised garage," Madison said, looking around. "But this is a serious shop." I couldn't help but smile calmly. Yeah, Christina always preferred to minimize what I did. Maybe because it didn't fit her idea of status. I don't blame her. She saw appearances, not reality. They left the car and took off, promising to come back in a few days. 3 days later, they returned. Wesley was thrilled with the work. Not only did he pay the full amount without questioning a cent, he also left me a $100 tip. Madison took several photos with her phone. Detail shots, the car on the lift, shop sign in the background, and she uploaded them to Instagram, tagging us. Not even 60 minutes passed before a comment from Christina appeared. One of those passive-aggressive messages that carry poison hidden behind a digital smile. Something about how I was still entertaining myself with my little garage. But Madison didn't stay quiet. She replied to the comment. "Actually, it's impressive. You should come see it someday." Obviously, I took a screenshot and sent it to Ricky, who responded with a barrage of crying, laughing emojis. No need to say anything more. The irony was too clear. The real stroke of luck came that Friday night. I was at a bar with Ricky and some friends watching the game, beer in hand, laughing about nothing, when I heard someone say my name behind me. "Dylan Collins, I can't believe it." I turned my head, and there she was, Jolly. I recognized her immediately, even though it had been over 10 years since I'd seen her. We'd been classmates in high school. She was one of those people who always seemed to know exactly where they were going, even when the rest of us were lost. And there she was, elegant, confident, with a firm smile. She told me she just moved back to Columbus. She ran a pretty successful marketing agency downtown. "Follow your Instagram account," she said. "That Chevelle restoration? Wow, that was really impressive." We talked for over an hour. No awkward silences, no forced phrases. It felt natural. Jolly had a sharp sense of humor, was direct, curious, and genuinely interested in what I did. Before she left, she pulled a business card out of her purse and handed it to me. "We should grab coffee sometime. Maybe we could collaborate." Ricky, as expected, didn't wait long to comment after she left. "She's interested in you. Stop making things up," I answered, laughing. That wasn't kindness. That was flirting, man. Maybe he was right. The next morning, with a mix of nerves and curiosity, I texted her. We coordinated to meet on Tuesday. That coffee turned into a conversation that lasted hours, and then into dinner. And that dinner turned into her hiring me to work on her Subaru WRX. What I didn't imagine was what would come next. While I was was doing maintenance on her car, she started introducing me to her network of contacts. Young lawyers, doctors, programmers, entrepreneurs, all with expensive cars and eager to invest in keeping them like new. Within weeks, Collins Auto Repair went from being a local shop to becoming the preferred place for young, successful people in Columbus. My Instagram exploded from 1,000 followers to 5,000. I had to hire a third mechanic, Chris, a specialist in imported cars who had brutal talent. Now we were 4 people working in the bays, and we still couldn't keep up. By then, Jolly and I were already dating. It wasn't premeditated or forced. It just fit. She was nothing like Christina. Didn't despise my work. Didn't try to fix me or make me feel less. Quite the opposite. She valued what I did. I felt proud of my growth. A couple of months after that disastrous dinner with Christina and her family, Ricky called me with an amused tone. You gotta hear this. Christina got demoted at work. How do you know that? My girlfriend works in the same building. Apparently, she lost an important client and they reduced her position and salary. Oh, and she's trying to get rid of her Lexus. But the penalties are sky high. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't feel compassion. I just thought time puts everyone in their place. That same week, I posted a photo on Instagram of me and Jolly in front of a freshly restored 69 Camaro. I'd sold that car to a collector in Chicago for $68,000. Both of us were smiling with a naturalness that didn't need explanation. The post exploded. Over 2,000 likes and comments of all kinds. Couple goals. What a gem of a car. You guys make a good couple. Of course, Christina saw it. I found out because Madison sent me a message. Brace yourself. She's destroyed. She told me Christina had spent the entire afternoon crying and that she'd probably write to me. And she did. That same night, I received a message from a new account. Obviously, it was her trying to evade the block. She said she wanted to talk, that she'd made a mistake. She missed me. She was proud of me and how I'd built up the shop. I took a screenshot and sent it to Ricky. Didn't respond. Over the next hour, I got 3 more messages, each one more desperate than the last. The last one was a stab disguised as a question. She wanted to know if Jolly was my girlfriend. And in a pathetic attempt to hurt me, she said she wasn't even that pretty. I blocked that account too. The following Monday, Hunter approached me looking uncomfortable. Dylan, there's someone here who wants to see you. Who? I asked without looking up from the papers. Christina's mom. When I walked out to the waiting area, I saw Cheryl standing there. Simple clothes. None of the flawless makeup from that dinner night. She looked tired. Dark circles under her eyes. For a moment, the contrast with the arrogant image from back then was almost striking. Dylan, thank you for seeing me, she said in a softer tone than I remembered. What can I do for you? I responded calmly. Cheryl took a deep breath. I want to apologize for what happened that night. Christina was completely out of line, and we did nothing to stop her. I listened to her in silence. There was no anger, just distance. I appreciate that, I finally answered. Is there anything else? And she lowered her gaze and said the real reason for her visit. Christina's going through a hard time. I know she made a mistake, a big one, but is there any chance you'd reconsider? The answer was clear in my head before she even finished the sentence. Cheryl, with respect, your daughter humiliated me in front of your entire family. She did it because I'm a mechanic, because I don't fit the image she wanted to project. There's no going back after something like that. She tried to explain that Christina was scared. She was projecting her insecurities, that she didn't want to depend on anyone. But I'd seen her for 3.5 years. I knew her. I knew she was a person who despised honest work if it didn't look glamorous, who valued image more than substance, and who only recognized what she had when she'd already lost it. Cheryl slowly lowered her head. Understand, but I wanted to at least try, she whispered before leaving. That same night, Jolly stopped by the shop after I'd already closed. She found me sitting on one of the lifts drinking cold coffee. I told her what had happened. She's desperate, Jolly said. Seeing how you're growing is killing her inside. I'm not gonna do anything, I responded calmly. Just keep building what I have. Jolly smiled with that confidence of hers that I liked so much. There's a networking event next week. Come with me. Why not? I answered without thinking too much about it. Christina's company was going to be there. It was an open event. I'll admit that in part, it seemed like a somewhat petty decision to attend, but it was also a form of poetic justice. I thought about it. In the end, I decided to go. The networking event would take place the following Thursday. I put on my best suit. Jolly showed up in an elegant black dress that drew attention effortlessly. We walked in together, and from the first moment, she seemed to know half the world. She introduced me as Dylan Collins, owner of Collins Auto Works. We'd been there about 20 minutes when I saw her. Christina was near the refreshments table, surrounded by her co-workers. You could tell she wasn't going through a good time. Her expression was tired, and when our eyes met, her face lost all color. First she looked at me, then at Jolly, and locked her eyes on me. Pretending naturalness, she excused herself from her group and started walking in our direction. Jolly gently squeezed my arm. Christina stopped a few steps away. Up close, the impression was even worse. She had dark circles she could barely hide with makeup. Hi, Dylan, she finally said. Hi, I responded calmly. The silence was uncomfortable. I didn't know you were coming, she added. Jolly invited me. It's a good opportunity to network, I answered naturally. She looked at Jolly with discomfort and tried to introduce herself. I'm Christina, Dylan's ex-girlfriend. I turned to Jolly, and this is Jolly. Jolly, my girlfriend. Christina's fake smile cracked just a little. Jolly extended her hand. Nice to meet you. Dylan's told me about you. I see, Christina murmured. The tension settled between us again. So how's work? I asked with a neutral tone. Good. Busy, she lied. That's good. I heard you got demoted, but I wasn't sure if it was true, I said, keeping my expression calm. Her face barely contracted. The shop's doing great. Actually, I'm about to expand, planning to buy the space next door. That's great. I'm happy for you, she responded, trying to sound convinced. Thanks. Yeah, things really took off after, well, I left the phrase floating in the air. She understood perfectly. Christina, visibly uncomfortable, looked for an exit. We should go out for drinks sometime, she tried to say. Madison and Wesley stopped by the shop recently. They love the service, I added with a smile. Her face tensed again. She mumbled something about getting back to her co-workers. It was good to see you, Christina, I finally said. She almost fled back to her group. Jolly waited until she was out of earshot. That was ruthless, she said quietly. Too much, I asked. No, perfect. She had it coming. A month after that event, Christina tried her move, and it went terribly wrong. It all started with a Google review. 1 star, posted under a fake name, but it was obvious it was her. Claimed horrible service, damage to the car, unprofessional owner, completely made up. I saw it early that morning. Showed the review to Hunter and Travis. We laughed. It was too obvious. I responded, publicly asking for proof of service. Took screenshots of everything. Pulled a quick report from our CRM system and filed a formal dispute with Google Business, arguing it was false, misleading, and coordinated content. Attached our list of work orders, proving no vehicle with those details had been through. She didn't respond. 2 days later, 3 more fake reviews appeared, all 1 star, repeating the same pattern. Absurd accusations. Similar language. Clearly orchestrated. That was a problem. Our shop had 4.9 stars with over 100 real reviews, and those 4 fake ones dropped the rating to 4.5. In a business that depends on its reputation, that weighs heavy. But Christina made a serious mistake. Even though she used a VPN and fake emails, she didn't change her writing style. All the reviews shared identical expressions and structure. I called a friend who works in IT and asked for help tracking the origin. He called me back that same day. All 4 reviews came from IP addresses connected to the same apartment complex. Christina's. Perfect. He sent me a report with timestamps, IPs, and all the documentation. With that, I filed a new complaint with Google. 3 days later, all 4 reviews disappeared. I didn't stop there. I posted on Instagram, without mentioning names, that a competitor had tried to ruin our reputation with fake reviews and had been caught. We always keep receipts, I wrote. The post exploded. Over 3,000 likes and hundreds of comments full of outrage. Madison wrote to me. It was Christina, wasn't it? I can't say, I responded. But we both knew the answer. 2 days later, another move. The landlord called to tell me he'd received an absurd complaint about supposed nighttime car noises in the parking lot. I never work outside business hours. The complainant didn't even live in the building. Name on the complaint? Christina Price. Don't worry. I know it's nonsense, the landlord said. Just wanted to let you know. By that point, it was obvious. Christina was hell-bent on sabotaging me while her life fell apart. And I hadn't even done anything but move forward. The following weekend, she made her worst mistake. She showed up at the shop on a Saturday afternoon. I was working on the restoration of a Porsche 911, a $45,000 project for a collector. Jolly was in the office finishing some paperwork. Christina walked into the shop wearing jeans and a sweater. Her face looked unhinged. I slid out from under the car and saw her standing there. We need to talk, she said. No, Dylan, please. 5 minutes. You wrote fake reviews. Called my landlord with made-up complaints. You've been stalking my Instagram. There's nothing to talk about, I responded firmly. Her face turned red. I didn't do that, she whispered. Don't lie to me. I have proof. Don't insult my intelligence. And she broke down crying. Real tears. Voice shaking. I'm sorry. I've been a mess. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I lost my promotion. I'm about to lose my apartment. Everything's falling apart. And I miss you. I miss what we had. There was no we. What there was he using me while looking down on me, waiting for the moment something better came along. I came to believe our relationship had a future. And when I had the audacity to propose to you, you didn't respond with words. You responded with public humiliation I'll never forget. I know. Christina stammered, her voice breaking. I hate myself for what I did. Please, can we start over? At that moment, Jolly appeared in the office doorway. Arms crossed. Firm expression. Didn't need to say a word. Christina turned. Saw her. And her face hardened instantly. The tears that seconds before were falling like she was sorry disappeared in a blink. This is because of her. Christina spat with a venomous tone. You're gonna throw away 3.5 years over a simple rebound? I responded calmly, without raising my voice. You threw those years in the trash when you decided I wasn't enough for you. The only thing that bothers you now is that I'm better off without you. Christina looked at her with contained rage, like she couldn't stand seeing her. She turned to Jolly with a crooked smile. You're not even that pretty. What do you have that I don't? Jolly didn't hesitate, didn't even blink. Dignity, she responded calmly, and real respect for him. That simple comment was enough to set off an emotional bomb. Christina completely lost control, started screaming at the top of her lungs, overwhelmed by frustration. Call me a failure. nothing without her, screamed that she was the best thing that ever happened to me. Her fury was so intense that for a moment I thought she was going to throw something. Travis came out from the other section of the shop, alerted by the screaming, saw the scene, and without saying anything, pulled out his phone. Calmly, he started recording. His face showed no surprise, like he'd expected it. "You need to leave, Christina," I said firmly, without a shred of hesitation, "or I'll call the police." "You wouldn't," she said, trembling, though clearly not sure of her words. "Yes, I would," I answered calmly. "You're on private property. You're invading my business." She stood motionless for a few seconds, trembling, eyes glassy, lips pressed together, like she didn't know whether to keep screaming or actually break down crying. Finally, she turned around, ran out, started her car abruptly. The screech of the tires as she left the parking lot echoed through the entire shop. Travis uploaded a clip of the recording to his Instagram stories. Just the part where Christina was screaming that I was a loser, with Jolly completely calm beside me. Didn't use names, just wrote, "When someone can't handle that, you're better off without them." Within 2 hours, the video had over 10,000 views and dozens of reactions. The following Monday, I got an unexpected call. "Good morning. This is Gregory from the company where Christina Price works. I need to ask you some questions," a serious voice said on the other end of the line. Of course, I responded, knowing perfectly well what it was about. "We've seen a video on social media showing a pretty concerning scene. Can you confirm if Miss Price showed up at your shop over the weekend and caused an altercation?" "Yes, sir. I have the full video. Could you send it to us? We're doing an internal review." I sent him the complete recording. 20 minutes later, he called me back. "Thank you for your cooperation. We're taking this very seriously." 2 days later, Madison wrote to me. Christina had been fired. She tried to talk to Gregory through tears, saying it wasn't what it seemed, but she had an emotional breakdown in front of the entire team. They fired her on the spot. She moved back in with her parents. Her life was starting to fall apart rapidly. 6 weeks passed since that episode. By then, Christina was already a kind of living warning to those who knew her. One October night, I got a call from Lindsay, her sister. We'd always had a cordial relationship, so I answered. "Dylan, I know I'm probably the last person you want to talk to," she said with a worried tone, "but this is about Christina. Go ahead. You don't owe her anything, and I know you don't have to do anything, but I'm really worried about her." I stayed silent, listening. Lindsay explained that Christina had locked herself in her room since moving back in with her parents. She barely left. She was in a deep depression. She'd been applying to different jobs, but as soon as companies checked her employment history, they rejected her without hesitation. Her reputation in the sector had been completely tarnished. Plus, the week before, she'd totaled her Civic running a red light. She wasn't hurt. The car was completely unusable. "I'm sorry for what she's going through, Lindsay. There's nothing I can do," I responded honestly. "I know," she said, sighing. "I'm not asking you to get back with her. God, no. I just wanted you to know she hit rock bottom. She won't stop talking about you, about what she lost." Later that night, I told Jolly about the call. "Do you feel sorry for her?" she asked bluntly. "A little, but not enough to do anything," I said calmly. "Good. She chose her path." Jolly responded sharply. The next weekend, I participated in the Columbus Auto Show with the '69 Camaro I'd restored piece by piece. I'd worked months on it, dismantled the chassis, polished it, replaced every defective part, painted it with an impeccable finish. I won the award for Best Restoration, $5,000 check, and unexpected media coverage. They interviewed me on local television. And Columbus Magazine announced they wanted to do a feature on the shop. In just 4 months, the business had doubled its income. I hired a 4th mechanic, signed the expansion to the adjacent space. And Jolly and I were in a solid, stable, happy stage. And then the email came. "Subject, please read this." I should have deleted it without thinking. But curiosity is sometimes stronger than common sense. It was a long, carefully written email. Christina said she didn't expect my forgiveness. That night wasn't about the ring or my job, but about her fears. She claimed she'd let her parents' expectations dominate her. Call me the man she always needed, but didn't know how to value. Admitted she'd ruined everything. I showed Ricky the email. "Sounds pretty convincing," he commented. "Yeah, sure. Convincing," I said sarcastically. "But I don't care." I responded with a single message. "Christina, I appreciate your words, but you show me who you were. I'm not angry anymore. Just grateful you didn't accept that proposal, because I would have made the biggest mistake of my life. I hope you find what you're looking for, but it won't be with me." I sent it, blocked her address. Case closed. Or at least I thought so, until 2 days later when my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I answered. I only heard choppy breathing and sobs. It was her, calling from another number. "Dylan, I'm sorry. I read your email. Please, I need to see you. Just one face-to-face conversation. I promise. If you hear me out, I won't bother you again." I sighed with resignation. "Tomorrow at noon at the shop. 30 minutes. Not one more. Thank you. Thank you for this," she whispered. Jolly wasn't happy. "Why are you giving her that? She doesn't deserve it." "I'm not doing it for her. I'm doing it for me. I want to close this story in her face and leave it behind for good." The next day, right at noon, Christina showed up. Her appearance was a clear reflection of her situation. Marked dark circles, wrinkled clothes, hair unkempt. She sat in my office with the door open while Hunter and Travis worked a few meters away. "Thank you for seeing me," she said in a low, broken voice. "You have 30 minutes. She took a deep breath and started telling telling me about therapy, about how she discovered she based her self-worth on the approval of others, about how she'd understood that I was someone of integrity, hardworking, loyal. And then came the question I knew would arrive. Do you think there's any chance of trying again? I'm different now. No, I responded without coldness. Her face contracted. You didn't change, Christina, I continued. You just lost everything, and now you're looking for someone to save you. If 6 months ago I'd shown up with $1 million, you would have accepted my proposal without thinking. But I only offer my effort, my heart, honesty, and you threw that in the trash. She tried to argue, but I interrupted her. You don't miss me. You miss the security I gave you while you waited for something better. I knew it from that dinner because there was never an apology after what happened. There wasn't a moment when you recognized you were wrong when I took my things and left. You didn't show any kind of remorse when I started building myself up on my own. You only came back when you saw me genuinely smiling with someone else. That's not love. That's simply regretting losing a safety net. She started crying for real, not contained or fake tears. It was open, overwhelming crying, but I wasn't there to console her. I'm just being honest, I said calmly. You need to work on yourself. Find your own value. Build a life you're proud of. But you're not going to do it with me. It's over. I love you, she said between sobs. No, I responded without hesitation. What you love is the idea of not being alone. And that's not the same thing. She stayed silent for a few seconds, crying quietly, until she stood up, wiped her tears with her trembling hand. I hope you're happy. I hope Jolly treats you better than I did. I am, I answered, and she does. Goodbye, Dylan. I watched her walk away, got into her mother's car, and they left. This time was final. There would be no more back and forth. She was finally, truly gone. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Ricky. How'd it go? He asked. It's over. For real this time, I answered. How do you feel? Free. And I was. 3 months after that last conversation, the pieces started falling into place in a way I never would have imagined. By mid-January, shop expansion was complete. Collins Auto Repair had officially become Collins Auto Works. We had 4 service bays, our own paint booth, a waiting room that no longer looked like a DMV. We were 7 employees total, and the Instagram account had passed 15,000 followers. Jolly and I had moved in together. It was a real relationship, shared project. We found a cozy place. She didn't just support me. She pushed me to think big. She never made me feel like what I'd built wasn't enough. One afternoon, while I was working on a Tesla Model S, I got a call from an unknown number. I answered without thinking too much about it. Dylan, a male voice asked. This is Walter Price. It took me a second to recognize him. Christina's father. I wanted to call you to apologize for what happened at that dinner, he said. Cheryl told me everything afterward. The reviews, the harassment, all of it. That's not what we taught Christina. I thanked him for his words, but he went further. I also wanted to thank you, he continued. What you did, walking away with dignity and moving forward. You gave my daughter a lesson we didn't know how to teach her. Christina spent years treating people like they were stepping stones. She never faced real consequences until she lost you. She's working at a smaller firm, moved out on her own, and for the first time, she's trying to be an independent person. What you did, instead of destroying her, forced her to grow up. We talked for a few more minutes. He asked about the shop, genuinely interested. Said if he ever needed service for his cars, he'd come to me. We ended the call on good terms. That same weekend, the Columbus Business Awards were being held. Jolly's marketing firm was nominated as Emerging Business. We dressed up nicely. The ceremony was at the convention center. Elegant, huge crowd. Jolly won in her category, and I felt genuinely proud of her. While we were celebrating with some drinks at the refreshments table, I heard a familiar voice behind me. Dylan. I turned. Christina looked different, simpler, more real. I wasn't sure you'd come, she said with a nervous smile. I saw Collins Auto Works was nominated for Emerging Business of the Year. Yeah, we didn't win, but the nomination was an honor. You should have won, she responded. Your shop is incredible. There was an awkward silence. How are you? I finally asked. Better, she responded honestly. I work at a smaller firm now. Commercial leasing. Nothing glamorous. I have my own apartment in Clintonville, and I pay for it with my salary. I'm in therapy, working on myself. And your family? Lindsay and Caleb are good. Helen finally moved out. My parents are adjusting, she responded with a slight smile. Then she paused. My dad called you, didn't he? Yeah, last week. He felt really bad about everything. At that moment, Jolly approached, hooked her arm in mine, greeted her cordially. This time the introduction was different, but sure, no tension. They shook hands. Christina congratulated Jolly, and Jolly told her she'd heard she was doing well at her new job. Christina smiled. Small steps, but forward, she said. We stayed silent for a few more seconds. I should go, Christina finally said. Just wanted to say hi. I'm glad to see you happy. You both deserve it. She walked away before I could say anything more. Jolly watched her leave. That was surprisingly mature. Yeah, I responded. People can change if they really want to. On the way back, Jolly asked me if I'd ever regretted how things ended. I thought about that dinner, the ring flying against the wall, the months that followed. No, if Christina had said yes that night, today I'd be married to someone who saw me as a burden. I would have spent years trying to become someone I'm not. Instead, I'm here, running a business I'm proud of, sharing my life with someone who actually respects me. 6 months after that night, Collins Auto Works signed its first major contract with a high-end car dealership. The shop started growing at a pace I never would have imagined. A year later, later, we weren't the neighborhood shop anymore. We were a reference point for many clients looking for serious, well-done work. We opened a second location, double the team. 2 years later, I made the decision to take the next step with Jolly. It wasn't an improvised or impulsive proposal. It was something I planned calmly, knowing exactly why I wanted to do it. I didn't need everything to be perfect, just real. I remember that night. She didn't even look at the ring before saying yes. She did it with the same confidence she'd always been by my side from day one. Here's the thing about people like Christina. They don't value what they have until someone else does. She didn't miss Dylan. She missed the idea of having someone stable while she hunted for an upgrade. And when that upgrade never came, when her life started crumbling, she came crawling back. Not because she changed, but because she had no other options. The irony? Dylan became exactly what she wanted. Successful, respected, thriving. By then, he didn't need her validation anymore. He'd found someone who valued him when he was still building, not after he'd already built it. That's the difference between someone who loves you and someone who loves what you can do for them. Christina learned that lesson the hard way. And honestly, she deserved every second of it. If this story taught you something, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, subscribe, and remember, never beg someone to see your worth. The right person will see it without you having to prove it.